Hey, listeners, before we get to today's episode, just a quick reminder that the next Man Up is going to be in Granville, Ohio at the Spring Hills Baptist Church on Sunday, November 11th at 6 p.m. We're going to be doing a talk called Raising Men, Key Ingredients Boys Need. So if you're in the area and you are interested in joining us, we would love to have you come out. If you want some more information, you can find it at thenextmanup.com, or you can check out springhillschurch.org and get all the information you need. Okay, that's it. Let's get to today's episode. Hey guys, I'm Mark.
I'm Alon.
And welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Hey, Alon, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, Mark. Doing well. Nothing much, man. Oh, that's a lie. Everything.
There's always something going on, right?
Always something going on.
Yeah.
But good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Good.
What about you? What you been getting into?
Oh, you know what? I had a cool adventure today. I got to speak to some high schoolers over in the Granville area. For those in the Central Ohio listening audience, they'll be familiar with probably the Granville area. I was at Granville Christian Academy talking to these high schoolers about making plans for post-high school. Like, what are you going to do once you graduate from high school? So it was cool. Yeah, it was cool. Like, I felt like I had 25 years of life wisdom that I'm trying to cram into 20 minutes. So, you know, it might have been a little bit like oversaturation. But the feedback was good. The attention for high schoolers was good. And you know, you work with kids on a regular basis, you know, that they let you know if they're not engaged and not paying attention. And it felt like they were listening, even if it was just out of respect. It was appreciated, but I think it was more than that. So I don't know. Maybe I was able to say something that their parents are already saying or their teachers are already saying that just reinforced or will make a difference. But it was a cool experience.
Cool, man. That's awesome, man.
You know, it reminded me. It reminded me just the importance of listening to people that have gone before. You know, not to say that I've got it all figured out, but just this idea that we can learn from those that have gone before. We can take on their wisdom. We can receive their instruction and insight. I don't think I was so good at that when I was 18. I was pretty convinced I had all the answers. I knew where I was going. I had it right, and I don't think my listening skills were nearly as developed as they are today. But it is important to let others speak into our lives.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of 18-year-olds running around who were quick to listen. I think everyone thought they knew what was right and wrong, and like, you know, the way the world worked and all that stuff. They were full of wisdom. They were 18-year-old Yodas.
There you go.
That's how I felt at 18, and like it's just funny. Normally, when I'm talking to someone around that age, let me back up. Normally, later on in life, after that age is gone, I'm talking with folks. They always say the same. Yeah, you know, I thought I knew it all. And it'd be hard pressed to listen to anything.
So you're saying I shouldn't beat myself up too much. I'm probably not the only one who thought he had it figured out at 18.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
You know, I was watching a movie over the weekend with my daughter, who is, she's going to be 14 here real soon, and she wanted to watch this movie, and I was interested too, although I don't know the original story, so my experience is really just in this more recent version. But it was called A Wrinkle in Time. And it's the one that came out earlier this year or last year, I can't remember, but sometime within the last year. It starred Oprah Winfrey and Reese Witherspoon, Chris Pine, some big name actors. But really what struck me as I was reflecting on the movie is that these big name actors in the story, they were were guides for the main actors. And the main actors were these children, probably around 12 or 14 and maybe around 8 or 9, a girl and her younger brother. And they really had the bulk of the action, the bulk of the responsibility in the story, and try to avoid spoiler alerts here. But these other characters came alongside them as a guide. And boy, it just reminded me how important, like we were talking about, how important it is to have a guide, especially in the context of transitioning from young adult to an adult, or more specifically, what we're so passionate about here is transitioning from boy to man. I don't know that it goes well, and sometimes it doesn't go at all without a guide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would add that it goes, but it's like watching a train wreck. It's like, oh no, and so that's interesting. I have not seen A Wrinkle in Time, but the way that you're speaking, it reminds me of. There was an old cartoon, actually it was anime, to be honest with you. It was called The Last Airbender, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And M. Night Shyamalan tried to make he made a live action movie out of it a few years back. I'm not talking about the blue people, Avatar.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about a cartoon that was really in depth. And in it, there is this main character, and like he is always being in connection with older, wiser people, especially because like he is an avatar, which is something like supposed to be really special person for his or her time right then and there.
Okay.
Previous avatars will come and visit him and give him wisdom. And this kid's like, he's like 12 years old, a young boy. But one thing I really liked about the cartoon was that relationship that he had with all these older people who would give him these bits, like bite-sized pieces of wisdom, bite-sized, like just gems for him to like hold on to, and literal guiding lights, like in his life. And you're right. That is seriously important. I look back on my own life, and like in every major way, that I can look back to a point, like I can see people being that for me, being wisdom, being a light, even in my darkest times. And if you haven't heard me and Mark's stories, like, go back to the beginning. But for those that you have, like, even in my darkest times, there were people. I used to say there wasn't, but there are. If I want to be real and honest, there were people that were like just guides for me. In group homes and even in foster homes where I didn't do well. Like there would be a teacher who just seemed to, they just kept pointing me in the right direction as much as they tried. And that's really important. That's important for everyone. And like you said, it's important, especially for the passion that we're talking about within the show, which is for boys who are on their journey to becoming men.
Yeah. That's good, man. I'm thinking specifically in your story, the before and after that was Ray, and the impact that he had on you. But even to be able to go into some of those other areas, either pre or probably even post your relationship with Ray, right? Like all these all these people that were willing, able to speak into your life. Sometimes you were ready and willing to listen. Other times, probably not so much. But like without that, without those voices, or even like that singular voice in your life, things turn out so much worse, so much different.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of so just to keep this a little bit lighter for a minute here. I'm thinking of some of the great stories in pop culture, specifically in movies. And you mentioned one earlier. Like where is Luke Skywalker without Yoda? Right?
Yeah,
Like
or Obi-Wan. Like,
right,
yeah.
yeah. So it's not just Yoda. There's Obi-Wan involved, and there are others within the Order of the Jedi, and even within the commanders within the rebel forces. And I know we're kind of drifting off into story and fiction, but there's a reason why this fiction works, why this story works, because you can see where Luke is headed until Ben makes himself known, and then ultimately Yoda continues the training more in depth. You can see where he's headed, and it's not good. And
Oh yeah.
without the
Yeah, yeah.
influence and involvement in those by those guides in his life, there's no way he turns out as the Luke Skywalker that we now know.
Yeah, yeah. And like that's so interesting. It's funny because I mean we think of like movies fiction, but like the relevance. Here's some relevance. So I have a good friend who was in youth ministry with me for a little bit, and there was a young man who he was mentoring, and this young man ended up, for one reason or another, had to needed a place to stay. So he ended up like getting permission, and he had this young man staying at his house, and this young man asked him one day, he was like, like I don't, like, basically, like, I don't know what a man is. And I think he was like nearing 17, 18 years old. And he's like, I don't know what a man is. And he's like, would you show me, teach me? And his leader was like, yeah. He's like, here we go. And he put on, you remember Russell Crowe's movie, The Cinderella Man?
I do remember that movie. I don't know that I ever watched it, but I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, the boxer who was like just doing really well. All of a sudden, the economy tanked, and his career tanked. And he found him on the bread lines, trying to get food for his family, like working these weird, odd jobs to be able to pay for keep his lights on for his family. And then he ends up getting back into boxing and like wins the championship when nobody thought that he could do it. And so he sat down with this young man, and he gave him a piece of paper and a pencil, like a notepad and pencil, and he said, every time you think that he's exemplifying being a man, I want you to write it down. Literally, they watched the whole movie, and this kid had so many different examples.
Wow.
He was just like, oh, yeah, it looks like he's being, and then they talk through it and whatnot. So movies can be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can speak through movies. But now, speaking of that, like, I think that, there are so many different, like, levels of mentoring. And so there's so many different levels of that someone could be a guide in, and so, like, for me, like, this friend of mine, like, this to me is like one of those, like, I'm going to get in dirty with you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to jump in the mud with you, and we're going to walk and live this thing called, like, this journey of life together, like, out. And I'm going to help you, like, step by step, show you how to become a man. And so there's that, but then there's also, like, those who maybe not are, like, necessarily living with someone, or they don't necessarily have connection with this boy like every day, but they have enough where you can see that this boy, like, looks up to a man, like, as, like, you're a shining example to me. You're a mentor.
Yeah.
A mentor.
Somebody they can
like,
respect, right, and look up to.
You know what I'm saying? And, like, you can speak words. Like, those are so important. I think the getting in deep, like Yoda kind of feel is great. But then also, man, the ones, like, that's kind of like what I have with students at different places that I go visit, like some of the, especially the ones that I go back to, you know, it's not this long, you know, like this extended relationship where I can like impact their lives day after day and be a guide for them. But it is like when I do see them or when I do connect with them via social media or something, like they listen.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they welcome wisdom. And I just don't want to throw out a challenge, like the guys out there who are listening right now, man, who are looking, or maybe not even looking, but they're like, well, how do I even do that for other people? Like you could do it. Trust me. People watch, kids watch, man.
That's right.
The boys, they're watching
That's
us,
right.
man.
Yeah.
They're watching us.
They're looking
and we don't think they're watching, but they're looking. They're looking at our reactions to things. They're looking at the way that we talk. They look at the way that we live. They look at the way that we dress. Like they're looking at everything, you know, because they're trying to see like how real you are, you know, and like how much of what you're saying really has weight to it.
Yeah.
You know? And so like look, even if it's something where you're just connecting with someone, like when you just walk into church or something, or you walk into a school or a kid in your neighborhood, man, just continue. Like I would say, jump in, be a guide. It could really be like a difference maker for a young man. I really do believe so.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked about this idea in previous episodes, but the whole concept of being able to say something that is exactly the same message as what a child has been hearing for a while from teachers, parents, pastors, whatever, but it's said at the right time through a different lens by a different voice, and it resonates. You know, all of a sudden it just clicks, and it's not really what that person said as much as all of the investment that's been made up to that point, but it's an opportunity that a mentor, a guide took to share a message, share a story that just really resonated with someone at the right place at the right time. And but you just never know the impact that you can make. No,
not at all, man. Not at all. I mean, like, so there's a gentleman way back that I could think of. His I remember his first name is Aaron, and Aaron was a worker at one of the orphanages that I was in, group homes, sorry, that I was in. And he, like, I mean, there was nothing like he said that was like, you know, like life-changing that I can remember. But I think it was just his presence, you know, like him just being there that really like connected. And, you know, and like, being a guide is that as well, you know? It's like you can be a guide just by being there. Yeah. Just by just being you.
That consistent presence, like you said.
Yeah, man. Like I really don't. I don't remember much of what he said, but I do remember him being a constant presence that was good. Like I can always count on a smile. I can always count on like some fun, like with him, like, you know, whether it's throwing around a football or like, you know, doing whatever. Like, but it mattered. That mattered. Yeah. It's more than just our words as men. It's who we are and how we act as men as well that make a difference.
Yeah, that's right. I've been playing with this idea. A lot of times I'll come up with word pictures or analogies or illustrations, but around this theme, I've been playing with this idea of father or father figure, like a general contractor in a building situation or a building circumstance, where the general contractor is managing all of the parts of the process, but they don't necessarily do all the finished work or all of the skilled work or even some of the unskilled work, but they're there from the beginning. They're there guiding let's just call it the homeowner, guiding the homeowner through the entire process, bringing in the experts, the specialists, or rolling their sleeves up and getting their hands dirty when need be. But like this idea of father as the general contractor, as the guide, but then there's a team of people that are also around this son, in this case, that are helping as well. We've talked about this before, the coaches, the teachers, the pastors, the neighbors, the friends, the other community, but the father is in the mix as the general contractor, as the master guide. And I'm sure it's not perfect, but in my illustration analogy speak, that's kind of the idea that I'm toying with is, as dads, we have the opportunity and the challenge to be the general contractor in the construction of our boy's life. And we don't have to do all the work, but we got to know all the work that's going on and be in it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that picture is great. Great picture. It's such a community picture too.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound redundant because we keep saying we said that before, but community is such a big part of it. But an important piece though, dads, we're important. We are so important in that. When I look at my life, I had a lot of, I think the Lord graced me with a lot of different people to help guide me.
Mm-hmm.
And in different ways, because we can, like I said, there's different, like you said, specialists, guides for certain things that need to be done that probably no other person could do and whatever. But dad as a guide, I did not have that. And the void that it left in me was huge, just huge, and I hope dads who are listening, the importance of us being a guide, even when we think it's nothing, I don't really need to be a guide today. I press the pedal and step up, even when we're tired and we feel I remember just the other day, I had this moment where my son's bedroom's door was closed. So, I come home tired, and I was just I'm just going to go crash on my bed. And I said hello to everybody, but his door was closed, and I went to just walk by, and I just felt this nudge that was no, knock on the door. Oh, he's just probably playing his video games or something. Nah, knock on the door, man. There's an opportunity probably waiting on the other side to show love, to care for, to build, and whether be a good dad. And so I am knocking on the door, and we had this wrestling moment, man, where he opens the door, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Next thing you know, we're we like to wrestle. So we're wrestling on his bed, and just.
Yes.
And guys do, and I get done, and he gets done, and I just I love you, man. Love you too, man. Good day. How you doing with this? How you doing with that? Just a little chit chat, and I walk away thinking that was cool that happened, but I didn't think it was much from it, And then a few minutes later, he comes walking in my room, and nothing but a big hug and some love,
wow,
love you, Dad, man. You just don't know,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm teaching him that, I don't care how tired I am or how, whatever I am, I love him, and I'm for him, and I'm going to be there to, even the guide, even just a tiny bit, you know what I'm saying? What I think is tiny, but it's probably really huge, just for him to know that his dad, was thinking of him.
That's right. That's
and whatnot. And it's that's not really guiding. Yes, it is. I'm teaching him that he has to, when the day comes that he has his own children, and the day comes if he has his own son or daughter, you love them with all that you have. You know what I'm saying? You give them the time of day, no matter what is going on. And you let them know every day that you love them and you for them, and you have an ear for them, and you listen, you give advice, and when they don't want your advice, when they don't want to listen, you still love them. You know what I mean? I'm teaching them all that in that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so it's so important, dads, that we no matter what is going on, even when we think we're not even guiding, we think we're not even being a bright light for them, you shine like a North Star, or I don't care, you shine like a small fraction of light in a dark room. Like, either way, it makes a difference.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's no darkness that can withstand the light, regardless of how bright that light is. And what I like about what you described is just the sense of the steady presence of Dad. Like, he is there. He's for me. He's not against me. That sounds like scriptural language, right? But he is with me. He's my advocate. He is for me. He wants the best for me. He may not be perfect, but he is there. And I know when I need him, we're going to be able to do this together. Like, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Yeah, man. Absolute.
Well, fathers, as you're listening to this conversation, the challenge is really, what do you do? I've been asking this question in various contexts lately. So what? You've heard this dialogue. Maybe you've laughed. Maybe it's been entertaining. Maybe it's been challenging. But so what? What do you take away from here and go do that will make an impact for those within your sphere of influence? Maybe it's your son. Maybe it's your son's friends. Maybe it's students that you teach. Maybe it's neighbor kids. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But what are you going to go do to be that consistent presence, that male? That male presence, that man of character, that man of faith, so that you can be a guide for those who are following you. What are you going to do? Yeah. So we'll wrap with that. Just take this away. What are you going to do? Yeah. So thanks again, Alon, as always. Your insight is just, it's really good. And I know our listeners are better off for it. So thank you for your stories, your experience, and just, lending your wisdom to this conversation that we're having.
Oh, likewise, bro. It's always good to talk to you and hear your thoughts, man. You're a good man. Glad to know you. Serious. Glad to know you.
Likewise, buddy. So, all right.
All right, man.
Until next time.
You have a good one, brother.
Yeah, adios.
Until next time.
Hey, listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.